So I call it self-health is because I want you to understand that self is you. Self is you. You're the only person that can either reverse your disease right now or chronic illness, or you're the only person that can actually make it worse.
Welcome to Ending Chronic Disease, where we challenge everything you thought you knew about health. Join international best-selling author and wellness pioneer, Dr. Fabrizio Mancini, as he reveals how to transform your body, your mind, and your life starting today.
Hi, everyone. This is Dr. Fab Mancini. And, today is a very special day. And one of the reasons I was so excited about doing this video and this session with you is because I have a new birth of my fifth book, Self-Health. I wanted to, I've been in this journey for 38 years. And 38 years ago, I made a very conscious decision that I did not want to pursue my traditional career of becoming a medical doctor and a neurosurgeon. I decided, and I was introduced to the world of natural health sciences, the world of holistic health, the world of prevention. And during that experience, it was through a doctor of chiropractic that actually shared with me how, number one, the body has the ability to heal itself. This is something that most people are not aware of. Most people second guess and doubt their body's ability to heal. And in my last international best-selling book, The Power of Self-Healing, I wanted to bring to the world. That book was written 12 years ago, almost 13 years ago. And it became number one in 10 countries. It was translated in, I believe, 8 or 9 languages. And I'm still lecturing. After all these years, I'm still lecturing on that book. And the value of that book is that it reminded people that our bodies has the ability to heal. In fact, the only thing that heals is the body itself. So the power of self-healing was my contribution to you to make you understand that you have the power to heal. And you should not take that for granted and should never give that power away to somebody else that may have a different opinion, a different training, or potentially just an agenda that is different than your best interest to be as healthy as you can be. And as I've been going through that evolution, and I discovered that the second thing that Doctor of Chiropractic shared with me was that there were 10 systems in the body. And the most powerful system was the nervous system. And when you address nervous system dysfunction, you typically can help all the other systems, your cardiovascular system, your musculoskeletal system, your respiratory system, your endocrine system, and all others. And then the last one, and this is really where I had what Oprah calls that aha moment. That aha moment for me was that in this office, we're not going to be spending the majority of our time managing your symptoms. We're actually going to get to the root cause of the problem and address those, and you'll see how your symptoms just go away. Now, let me tell you, to me, that was the introduction to what I call preventative health. And preventative health is when you proactively understand how your body functions, you proactively understand how your lifestyle is either contributing to be healthy or, based on recent statistics, how is the number one reason of chronic diseases in this nation of America and all over the world. So during this evolution of being a provider, and then I became president of Parker University for 13 and a half years, and I'm still president emeritus, and then being in the media in front of you for the last 13 years with Fox News. My first radio show was actually with Hay House. They had over 35 million listeners in that, and that was an amazing experience. And then now having a TV show on some of the biggest platforms called Thriving in the New Normal. And of course, my new podcast, Ending Chronic Disease, that I started a couple of months ago. All of that evolution and the reason that I took the last few months in writing this book, and I truly believe this is my best work up to this point, And let me tell you why I think. Number one, during this evolution of 38 years and understanding the body's ability to heal itself, right? Which is the one thing that I really wanted to contribute to you. And then now with this book is to make you understand that yes, your body may have the ability to heal itself, but the choices that we make every single day when it comes to our health is what's actually dictating whether you are healing or not, whether you are contributing to have chronic disease or not, whether you're setting the foundation for your children to be healthy or not. These are all the things that I have evaluated over the last 38 years, and it led me to this book, not only because we have an administration that is actually bringing awareness to this topic, right? It's making people understand something that I have seen over the years, which is over 90% of the healthcare costs in America is chronic diseases, things like cancer, heart disease, diabetes, arthritis, obesity, chronic pain. All of these things are the ones that are making us miserable every single day, the ones that are costing us money, but it gets worse than that. It is the number one reason why people go personally bankrupt every single year. Over 65% of Americans, 65% of the personally bankruptcies are all due to a health problem. And then I heard this statistic and it really alarmed me. And that is that this generation of children are not expected to live as much as our generation. That means that our children may actually not outlive us. That is unnatural. I see so many parents every single year burying their children, having children that are sick unnecessarily because they just don't understand. And I needed to come out here and share with everyone what I live every single day. The reason after 38 years why I'm busier than I've ever been. The reason that I get up every morning with a mission that is bigger to myself, and that is your health, your well-being. Because I want you to live your life potential, and the only way that you can live your life potential is to actually fulfill your health potential. So as I was writing this book, I started recognizing that we needed to really bring the message of understanding our lifestyle choices in a way that people can understand, in a way that people can really say, you know what, I get it. You know, I'm going to rethink what I'm doing right now, and I know I have the power of choice. That is really the key. You are consciously or unconsciously deciding how healthy you are today. You unconsciously or unconsciously deciding the health of your children, because as parents, we set the foundation, the mindset, the behaviors that our children will follow. So I felt like I needed to break it down to the point that people can truly understand, number one, how did we get here? How is it that one of the wealthiest countries in the world is one of the worst ranked when it comes to the health of their citizens, right? That is unheard of. It's not logical at all. Why do we spend more money on a broken system? Why is it that the only way for most people to think that they can manage their health is through pharmaceuticals? Where did we get that idea? How did we get here? You know, being in the holistic space for 38 years, I've had thousands of patients that said to me, I wish one of my medical providers would have told me that there was chiropractic and I could have alleviated my back surgery, or that there was naturopathy that I could have alleviated some other type of surgery or medications that were very detrimental to the body. I wish that somebody would have told me that there was acupuncture for over 5,000 years that could actually balance my body so it could heal itself. When I lived in Europe, I know that a lot of people in Europe use homeopathy. And in my last book, I talked about the science of all of these natural professions out there that have been around for years with scientific evidence But the average person doesn't bother to read that, doesn't bother to try it out. And I often said, if you want a second opinion, don't get it from the same discipline that gave you the first opinion, right? If you're trying to alleviate an orthopedic surgery, right, let's say it's your knee surgery, then why would you go to another orthopedic surgeon for a second opinion? They're trained the same way. They use the same protocols. Why not go to a doctor of chiropractic that can maybe show you how that knee problem was not even in the knee? How your pelvis is misaligned, which is putting undue distress pressure on that knee. Therefore, when I adjust your pelvis, your knee actually gets better and it heals naturally, right? Or if I go to an acupuncture and I'm having a lot of respiratory problems and I put some needles throughout my body to balance my respiratory meridian and some of the other meridians of the body, well, we call it the chi, the energy of the body, and that allows my body to produce the right antibodies to not make me so susceptible to the allergies that I'm currently experiencing. So when I wrote this book, I realized that my next message had to be a different message, a different movement. And I created the message self-help. And the reason that I wanted to call it self-help is because for almost 42 years, I have been in this space of self-help, right? I've been a professional speaker and motivator for audiences around the world on personal development, right? I still remember when my mom and dad invited my brothers and I to a personal development week seminar, a whole week during our break from college, called Silva Mind Control. And it made us understand the science of the brain and how we, consciously or unconsciously, are the ones dictating the kind of life that we want to have, the kind of life that we currently have, the kind of life that we can actually change if we need to or if we want to. And that began our journey of personal development. But then I realized, because I also have a mentoring program that I've mentored over 200 CEOs over the last 9 years, and I realized that we cannot achieve our full potential in life. I call it the Fab life, not because of Fab necessarily, because it's a fabulous life, right? We all get to create our own life. And I realized that the only way that I can achieve my life potential in life is by achieving my health potential. So I call it self-help because I want you to understand that self is you. Self is you. You're the only person that can either reverse your disease right now or chronic illness, or you're the only person that can actually make it worse. No one can force you to do that. You can. I know we have external circumstances that are out of control, right? We know we're putting stuff in the air that sometimes we have no control what goes up in the air, but we can control how do we protect ourselves in our environments. Like for 38 years, I've been using filters in everywhere I go. I even travel with portable filters for hotel rooms because I travel every week. I have one that is portable for the airplane that actually gets up to 3 feet. So that way, the air that I'm breathing on the airplane is purified as I'm breathing it, right? When it comes to our water, I've been using reverse osmosis filters for 38 years. And then now I use hydrogen water systems because I found that hydrogen water is one of the most powerful things that you can put in your body. Not only get the purities out, but put the hydrogen in, because there's over 2,000 studies that have shown that that is one of the fastest ways that your body can lower inflammation and heal. So I realized that this concept of self-help is one that I'm praying and hoping that millions of people are going to tap into and realize I am ready to self-help myself. Because when you do that, you're actually impacting every area of your life. You know, when you look at the different categories of our lives, professional, social, family, finances, spiritual, all of those areas are impacted by one thing, and that is your health. There is no way that you can professionally achieve your potential if you're not feeling healthy, body, mind, and spirit. Remember, in my last book, The Power of Self-Healing, I share with you that health is divided into 3 dimensions: body, mind, and spirit. All 3 make an important contribution to not only how you get well, but to finding the root cause of your problem. You may have a spiritual root cause to a physical ailment. You may have an emotional root cause to a physical ailment. You may have a physical root cause to a physical problem. We have found that many of the conditions today are due to emotional distresses or spiritual disconnections. And I want you to understand, this is your life, right? Hans Selye, which was the father of stress, he used to say that over 90% of conditions or diseases in the world are due to distress, the negative stress in our lives. Now, can you tell me, have we ever had a moment in history that is more stressful than today? No. We're living at the worst distress times of history. The whole evolution of humanity is the worst that it's been today, which means that we have to arm ourselves, right? We have to understand, how does this all work? And also you need to question, right? I would not be who I am today if I hadn't questioned what I've been trained all my life in the traditional healthcare system. If I hadn't seen it for myself, experienced it as a patient, but more importantly, have thousands of patients that I treated where they got the results that they never thought were possible. And seeing the millions of people through my media outlets and all of the commenting that I have done over the years, my books, my lectures, the feedback that I get saying, thank you for giving me my life back. Thank you for allowing me to enjoy my day and wake up so I can be productive. Thank you for being able to feed my family. Thank you for allowing me to pick up my grandchild again. Thank you for allowing me to sleep a good night's rest. Thank you for being able to be fertile instead of being unfertile. These are all the things that are possible. Why? Because your body is the greatest miracle that we've ever had. And in self-help, I wanted to give you the latest science of what are the main root causes of the problems that we're experiencing today. And to remind you that if there is one thing that will reverse chronic disease, right? You're not going to find it outside there. Yeah, the government may improve the healthcare system and make it more efficient and more effective and more balanced, and they're doing that right now. Your corporations are installing wellness methods and incentivize employees to be healthy and creating relaxation rooms in their companies, or perhaps having activities where their employees can engage during their break, or incentivizing you in some way that if you participate in certain things, you get actually some money. But at the end of the day, we have no control over any of that. The only thing that we can control is the intentional thoughts that we have every single day. And if you decide that what are the sources that you're going to do, what are the decisions you're going to make, then all of a sudden now that puts you into what I call an empowering position. Now you're no longer going to be a victim of circumstances around you. You're not going to just follow one person's advice just because they happen to have a degree. No, you're going to question it. And you're going to go out there and you're going to find that there's a whole different world in the natural health sciences that has actually helped solve many of the chronic diseases that are being struggling right now. So I wanted to bring you that. I wanted to bring you, it's so interesting because in this book, I utilized some techniques that it took me about 6 months to research. I wanted to understand why is it that so many people never finish a book? Why is it that the majority of over 50% of the people only read up to the first chapter and they never go past that? I never understood that. Why is it that 80% of the books are read by women instead of men too, right? Men need to put health as a priority and not just a woman's role within themselves and their family. We need to do this for each one of ourselves. Each one of us are the only ones that can determine. I've seen couples in which all of a sudden the woman is extremely health conscious, making great choices. And I've seen where the male all of a sudden ignores all of that and continues to abuse what they eat, what they drink, the lack of sleep, the alcohol consumption. But I've seen it opposite too. I've seen it where the men are the health conscious, and now they're 70 years old looking. In fact, recently I met at my mom's place a man that was turned 100 years old. And he's one of the healthiest people that lives in this independent living facility that is primarily for seniors. Beautiful. And I want you to understand that when I talk to him, when I interview him, he understood that his choices every day is either going to let him live a healthier day or not. Now, I often talk about the sense of urgency, right? That if you lived every day that there's only 24 hours, most of us will make the best choices that we can make. We will not take our relationships for granted. We will not take our business for granted. We will not take our finances for granted. We will not take our contributions to our community, our churches, our synagogues, our temples for granted. We will not be able to continue to not be able to do the things we need to do today and wait till tomorrow or next week or next year. Those things don't happen. Why is it that most people, every single year when they do their New Year's resolutions, over 80 or 90% are the same that they were the year before, right? Because they just didn't do it. And according to the research, within a month after writing those resolutions, over 80% of them will actually stop working towards them. Because we cannot appreciate the value that when we decide to do something, we need to be committed, right? Because we only get one body. I often said, it's interesting. If I have a pair of shoes that I don't take care of, right? And I don't clean, I don't polish, I don't keep them with their inserts, all of the things that we're taught to do to take care of a good pair of shoes, I can always buy another pair of shoes. If I drive a car, whether it's a fancy car or not a fancy car, and I don't take care of it, I don't do the proper maintenance, I don't change the oil on time, I don't put the proper gas in it, it's not going to last me, but you know what? I can always get another one. If I have a purse and I don't take care of it, I can always buy another one. If I live in a house or an apartment and I don't take care of it, I can always move out and get another one. But this body of ours, we only get one. How many billionaires have I interviewed over the last 30 years, right? In a lot of my exclusive interviews that I'm going to give you access to, where they have told me, I wish somebody told me not to compromise my health as I was building my wealth. Because now they're sitting with all the resources they can possibly have and more, and not being able to enjoy it. Where they can't get on a plane and go visit another place, whether it's their private plane or whatever, because their bodies won't let them. They can't go into that level of altitude, or they can't travel that long of a distance. It is not the best way to live. So I want you to know that health has to be your number one priority. And if you want to reverse chronic disease, you must pay attention to the choices that you're making. So what I did in this book is I studied for 6 months some of the best sellers out there, read a lot of articles, listened to a lot of interviews as to what makes an engagement reader. And the reason that I wrote this book the way I did it is because, first of all, I wanted to take you on a journey. I wanted to share with you the insights of the most popular topics that I see people struggling with when it comes to chronic diseases and living the optimum health that they're entitled to. And then I started looking at, people, when they read a chapter, they need to actually get a heading, some kind of hook that they say, wow, this is something that I am interested in learning about. And then, of course, an emotional story of an example of somebody that had actually succeeded in what you feel there is no hope, right? To me, this book is not just a guide. This book is actually hope. This is what's going to get you to where you want to be, so you can be happy, so you can be productive, so you can have everything that you want in life. You deserve that. But many of us, unfortunately, do not know how to get there. And then I realized also that they were myths and they were actually facts. So in every chapter, I actually took the most popular myths regarding the topic and gave you the actual science and the facts, so you don't have to wonder anymore. And then I started going through a 30-day challenge in every chapter where you can actually implement the information that I'm giving you with the most time-tested, evidence-based action steps to actually surpass whatever you're going through. So every single day I broke it down, every single chapter I broke it down, where every week you get to actually act on the things that I've already researched for you. So you can act on it, so you can benefit from it. And I made it so simple to implement. I also did something that a lot of people were very surprised. I took the font and I made it a bigger font. Why? Because many of the books today the font is so small, right? And then it actually doubled the book size. But I don't mind, because when you open the book and you see the beautiful big print, now all of a sudden, you don't need to go and reach out for your glasses, or you can actually read it. And I also spaced it in a way that you can mark on it. So you can actually make your notes and maybe share it or go back to whatever you think about when I speak about in that chapter. So I utilize some of the best things that I could possibly think of to keep you engaged, because I want you to read every page of this book. Every chapter builds on the next chapter. Every chapter, at the end of the chapter, it tells you what's up next. And it kind of gives you a brief summary of what you're about to encounter. So then you get so excited, you can't wait to turn the page. And when I tested it, right, and we in fact, this is actually out today. Today is the day that you can actually get it. And I'm going to send you the link and all that. So you can get it in Amazon especially, which is what almost every book is being bought at right now. And one of the things that I wanted to do is to be able to give you a preview also. When you click in the link, you also can get a preview up to the first chapter. So you get to see not only why I wrote this book, why now, some of the most alarming statistics, like 6 out of 10 Americans are experiencing a chronic disease, and 2 out of 4 are actually having 2 or more chronic diseases. So I wrote this book also for the baby boomers. Why? Because we are in a position that we need to get somebody to help us. How do we go through our 3rd or 4th stage of life in a way that is healthy, right? We were not meant to get older, and all of a sudden as I get older, I'm going to be sicker. I'm going to be 60 this year, and I can show you my physical x-rays. They look better than when I was 21 years old. When it comes to my bone density, my disc, my curvatures, everything. I show you my MRIs looking so good, better than when I was 21 years old. I can show you my blood markers. I can show you my age, not my chronological age, my biological age, where I'm now 20 years younger than what I am. And when people go out there and they see me on the stage or they see me on TV, it's incredible that the number one thing that people say to me, you never age. And I say it's because I'm making good choices every day. But I want you to understand, I live in this space, right? I dedicated my life to be in the preventive, holistic, natural realm of healthcare. Why? Because it's the most empowering that I have found for you. For you not to feel dependent on anyone else, because you can get the information, you get to choose what you do. Yes, we can learn from others, and yes, you can learn from this and that. You can read different books, you can listen to different podcasts, but at the end of the day, the only thing that matters is what choices are you making today in comparison to yesterday. If it's lunch, and yesterday you had a cheeseburger with French fries and a soda, and today you choose to maybe have a Mediterranean salad with some salmon or perhaps some organic chicken and maybe some filtered water instead, that's the choice that will make you healthier tomorrow than you are today. That's the only thing we can control. If it's at night and all of a sudden you decide to go to bed at a reasonable hour, and I'm going to give you some great tips today, then all of a sudden now you go consistently into bed and you have the opportunity to go to bed in a reasonable hour, and maybe you don't do any electronics because of the blue dot situation, 30 minutes before you go to bed so your brain can actually calm down and rest and put you into a deep sleep. And maybe, or perhaps you take a natural supplement that allows you to sleep even deeper. Now, you can do that, or you can do what most people are doing today, is watch TV, watch the news right before you go to bed, perhaps even go out that night, have a big meal at 10 o'clock at night, which has nothing healthy in it, perhaps overconsume alcohol, maybe even experiment with drugs. And for what? To wake up the next morning unhealthier than you are today. That was a choice. Hey, listen, you can go out to a nice dinner, but you can choose something healthy in the menu. I can tell you that. I particularly do intermittent fasting, so I only have usually one meal a day. And if I even have a dinner, it will be an early dinner. But I usually eat around 4 o'clock in the afternoon. But I eat a healthy meal. Even if I go to a restaurant, I can choose to have alcohol, or I can choose to have something healthy like filtered water, bottled water, right? I can choose to go out to clubs and dance, but I don't have to consume a lot of the alcohols, right? I can go dance for a little bit and not stay in the environment that may be toxic. So let me share with you a little bit about the titles, because I want to kind of give you a preview, and I'm going to put a link in here that will give you a link where you can see a preview of all of this. But I started everything by primarily giving you a preface of why I wrote this book, why now. And then I talk about part 1, which is chronic disease, the hidden crisis, understanding chronic disease, why we are sick, metabolic health. Then part 2 is the daily choices that heal. I talk about food as medicine, movement that matters, sleep and stress, detox your life, saving your brain, conquering obesity, pain relief without pills, beat diabetes, age in reverse, alcohol's hidden toll. Part 3, the future of wellness, mind over disease, fasting for longevity, peptides unlock, biohacking your health, precision health, align your spine with chiropractic care, healing from the soil up, understanding the minerals in our soils, healthy kids for life. I give you perfect examples of how you can raise the healthiest kids you can ever have. Not only is it going to save you a lot of money, but you're going to have a legacy in your children that will outlive you and make you very proud. And of course, the ripple effect, which is how is it that we can now, through our example, impact the lives of other people. So I created also a chronic disease risk score, which when you buy the book, you can actually get that risk score, which took a long time to create, but it's one of the best things I've ever done, where we ask you 10 questions, and based on those 10 questions, it gives you an automated response that is very specific to you. It gives you specific activities, right? We use a lot of artificial intelligence to populate some of the most proven methods by science to help you. So you have an AI assistant, think of it like me virtually, that you can ask any question and it's going to spit out specifically all the 38 years of information that I gather, all this latest scientific research, everything that we populated so you can be healthy. So that is one of the things. And I want you to really pay attention to some of the most common behaviors that I think is important to understand, like the foods that we eat. I know we hear it all the time, but listen, you do have the choice. You're talking to somebody that used to love cheeseburgers and French fries, used to love pizzas, and now I have to limit those things. I'm not going to tell you that I don't do them, but when I do them, it's very seldom and I enjoy them, right? One time I gave a lecture that talked about the emotional connection to food, that many times our food is aligned with some emotion. So let's say that you got a raise and your significant other takes you out for a fancy dinner and you have steak and you have champagne and you have even mashed potatoes and maybe even something else, in your food. Well, every time you see that steak, you associate celebration, right? If it's a wedding, if it's a birthday, if it's going to your grandma's house and she's cooking, your pasta that is favorite, right? Or your mom or your dad that they cook for you. Like my dad used to grill. He loved to grill. And even though he's no longer with us, every time I eat a hamburger, I think of my dad's joy every time he made something for us, right? That's why I like the hamburgers, because it made me associate the love my dad had for me. So I want you to understand what we can change, right? We know in science today that we can replace any old patterns by just creating enough of a new pattern. In visualization, we know today that you can spend up to 15 to 30 minutes visualizing something that, like if it's already happened, and your brain will actually synapse and create a whole new set of thought processes to allow you to manifest that. We call that neuroplasticity. I talk about that in the book. So listen, I know that I can go on and on and on, but I want you to know that this book is written for you. I want you to go ahead. I'm going to put the link right here and just purchase it. Share it with as many people as you can. Right now, I got hundreds of doctors that have already committed to giving one to every patient, so that way they can have a patient base that appreciates, that understands the value of what they can do to be healthy. And of course, they're going to refer more patients into that clinic because of that. I have individuals that are now going to order by the bulk because they want to give it to their family members. I have employers that are ordering by the cases to give it to their top-level executives, to their employees, so that way they can live healthy. This is a resource, and I created this for you because I realized that if I can at least impress upon you what I've learned in 38 years, give you the science to back it up, give you the latest behaviors and activities that have been proven to work, to reverse, to change the health that you currently have, giving you the inspiration and the motivation to keep going. This is what I wanted to. This is really a movement. I want self-help to be a movement that we all partake in order to support the health of humanity, because I'm very concerned. It's the worst that I've seen it in 38 years. It's the worst in the evolution of humanity, and we need to change it. And as a parent, I can tell you one thing. You may be feeling guilty right now that you're looking at your children and they're not very healthy, right? Karen and I recently went to a theme park, and we saw thousands of children, right? The obesity in our children, the overweightness in our children is over 50% in total. In adults, it's over 80%, according to recent data. Obesity is the foundation for a lot of the chronic diseases, not only diabetes, but heart disease, cancers, and others. We need to tackle this. And I show you how you can do that right now by simply changing your mindset and changing one behavior a day. That's all I'm asking. I'm giving you a lot of options, right? But what I've learned is that when you change one behavior, it leads to another behavior change, and then another behavior change, right? I didn't get to where I am today in 38 years overnight. I struggled. I had to retrain the way that I was programmed, not only from the way that I was raised, right? But also society as a whole. Everything you watch on TV, every commercial you watch, every movie that you watch, every book that you read, every podcast, every YouTube video, everything is programming your subconscious mind to become you. Many times we associate with people that are actually unhealthy people. One of the things I talk about here is making selective decisions of who you surround yourself with. Because if you're overweight right now, or you want to be thinner, start hanging around the thin people and see what they do, how they think, how do they eat, how do they sleep, what do they do on a regular basis every single day to allow them to be thin. That's how we get better. So I hope you like this. I wanted to come in this session to be able to give you the opportunity to participate. And you can start with this book. There's going to be a lot of other resources that I may bring to you in the future, but right now, this is available. And I want you to get it. And just click on the link. We created a landing page that actually gives you a preview of the book, shows you the benefits of the book, shows you some of the biggest names in healthcare that are saying, this is a book that everybody needs to read right now. Because at the end of the day, as you finish reading this book, as you share it with as many people as you can, whether it's at home, at work, everywhere that you can, the lesson that you will learn and that you will see with all the scientific background is that your health is your choice. It's that simple. And that a diagnosis is not a life sentence. You get to choose the kind of life you want to live. You get to choose how you treat your body. You get to choose what type of treatment. And I've always suggested try things that are natural first before you introduce some of the side effects of medications and the medical errors, which is one of the leading causes of death in the world. Do not put yourself at risk. There is a time and there is a place for those things. Nobody will argue that, especially me, that I've supported that and I've educated millions of people on that. But those urgencies in the healthcare system is less than 5% of all of healthcare. Less than 10% if you want to be a little bit bigger. Over 90% is actually the choices you're making right now that is making you sick. And it's time to stop it. It's time to do something different. So I pray and I hope that you will take me up on this, that you will share me and help me spread this message with as many people as you can. If you get a hold of this recording, share it with as many people. Share the link of where they can get the book. You can just go to my website too, drfabmancini.com. You see it right here on the screen. You can go right there and you can click on the landing page. I will show you all the things about the book so you can buy it, and it has the click so you can go directly to Amazon or wherever you want to buy it from. And I hope and ask you to help me. Help me be a part of this movement. Help me share it with as many people as you can. Help me bring self-help to the world. Because if we do, now we have something to look forward to instead of all the fear that we are living with every single day, watching our next generation be sicker than ever. We can reverse that. We can reverse it by us beginning with ourselves, no matter how old you are, right? You may be in your 80s, you may be in your 90s, but I'm talking to you. It's never too late. Every single day you breathe, why not make it a little better than yesterday? That's all I'm asking. And if you're a young person in your 20s or your teens that you feel you're going to live forever, trust me, it's not easy getting older. And you don't want to get to the point that in your 30s and 40s, you already have dementia, you already have heart disease, you already have cancer, you already have all these things. We're seeing it younger and younger every day. The statistics are rising every single year, and we must reverse it. We must go back. And the only way to go back is by taking responsibility. Responsibility of the choices we take every day, and that's where you come in. I'm just giving you this as a tool, as a guidance, where doctors all over the world will be using it to guide their patients, share with their patients, and where you can not only benefit yourself, but share it with your children. Read a chapter with your children every night. Share it, discuss it. I give you activities that you can do a challenge where you can say, okay, honey, this week, we're going to do these 3 things that Dr. Fab mentioned. Or we're going to do 1 thing this week. I just want you to start. I want you to see it. I want you to experience it for yourself. Because the only way to have a transformation is for you to experience it. That's why every chapter is full of activities so you can act on it right now. Thank you so much for being here. God bless you. Click on the link, get the book, go to my website, drfabmancini.com. You can click it right there. And I hope and pray that this book is everything that you've been praying and hoping for. God bless you. See you soon.
To learn more about Dr. Fabrizio Mancini's groundbreaking work, visit www.endingchronicdisease.com and join the movement. Together, we can end the silent epidemic of chronic disease and create a healthier, more vibrant world. Thank you for tuning in. Until next time, be well and stay inspired.